everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Cheat Meal presented by Deep Fried Draft. My name is Brian Bosarge. This is the final installment of our draft review series, and we're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks, who by every metric of my value board finished last. Total value picks, 32nd. Average pick value, 32nd. Money value picks, first through third rounds, of which they had 6 picks, 32nd. You did bad, Seattle. It didn't start bad, though. Did not start bad. They get at pick 35, my 8th best player, Malik McDowell, defensive lineman from Michigan State. Falls to the second round because of some perceived freelance issues that he had. And some questioned his effort, but none question his talent. One of the most talented players in this draft. Seattle benefits there by getting him to fall to 35. Pick 58, they get the best center in the draft, in my opinion, was Ethan Pochik from LSU. Story is they're going to move him out to right tackle, which I think he can play well. He's 6'6", 310, has long arms. I thought he was big for a center anyway, but he excels at both. Could play guard as well. He could play anywhere they want him to play. That's about where the goodness ended for Seattle as far as the draft goes. Every other pick was negative value, and the best pick from here on out was a negative 41 value for Seattle. Now, their third round pick at 90 was Shaq Griffin, corner from UCF. This one I may end up being wrong on, and I will fully admit that. I didn't do a whole lot of digging on Shaq Griffin. Watched a couple of game tapes, but he had excellent speed at the combine. But because of my limited exposure of him, I had him lower than I think a lot of other NFL people did, and obviously Seattle thought better of him. But just basing it off my board, I had Shaq Griffin at 194. Seattle picks him at 90. I did not have a draftable grade on safety Delano Hill from Michigan. They picked him at 95. So that probably ends up being one of the worst value picks of the draft on my board. Another third round pick at 102, they picked Nazir Jones, a solid, if not unspectacular, defensive line prospect from North Carolina, an underclassman. They come back with Amara Darboh, wide receiver from Michigan, at pick 106 in the third round. I thought Darboh was a 5th round wide receiver prospect. He's big, can go up and get the ball, but I just did not think that he was a top wide receiver prospect. 4th round pick 111, they picked Tedrick Thompson from Colorado, another member of that secondary to go high. Thompson has ball hawking abilities, but has had some issues, and that's why I had him lower on the board. The next 4 picks for Seattle, pick 187, 210, 226, and 249. I did not have draftable grades on any of them. Mike Tyson, the safety linebacker hybrid from Cincinnati, I think is a special teams guy that was I could have seen being a priority free agent, but did not have a draftable grade on. Justin Senior, offensive tackle from Mississippi State, was one of the top ranked players in tonight's Canadian Football League draft, but I thought was one of the, if not the worst offensive tackle or offensive lineman in general, I should say, at the Senior Bowl. No way I would have drafted him. Chris Carson is a fast running back from Oklahoma State, but there were way better running backs, in my opinion, available to draft. And wide receiver from East Central Oklahoma, David Moore, I thought that was a fake name. Had to Google it. Had to Google David Moore from East Central Oklahoma. Didn't know who it was. So I got nothing on that. Some notable undrafted players they signed: Tony Bridges, corner from Ole Miss, and Darius Rogers, wide receiver from Southern Cal. I love the way Rogers caught the ball, but he was slow as molasses when he ran his 40. Reminded me of De'Runnya Wilson from last year, where I thought he was a better receiver in college, and then he goes out and runs a just shit 40 and it's all over. They brought in Skylar Howard, quarterback from West Virginia. They also brought in, if you remember me talking about deep sleeper, if you listen to my podcast on Bumpers, I talked about deep sleeper quarterbacks. They brought in Ronald Patrick from Tennessee State on a tryout as well. And I think Patrick is a decent guy to bring in, as maybe if he ends up getting on the 90-man chance to make the practice squad. Also like developing Tyrone Swoops, the former Texas quarterback, as a tight end prospect. But again, as I said, Seattle, by every measure of everything I've done, this is going to go down as possibly the worst total value overall I think I've ever done. Minus 752. That's bad. But I've been proved wrong by Seattle and New England before. Like I said, they generally end up with bad value grades on my board. But they know players that fit their scheme. So then maybe these guys fit their scheme. Like maybe Delano Hill ends up being the greatest safety of all time. But I didn't see it. So that's going to wrap up our draft review series here at Deep Fried Draft. This has been an excellent draft season for Deep Fried Draft, and I thank each and every one of you that have come by the website, watched our videos here on YouTube, listened to our podcasts on bumpers.fm. Follow me on, those of you follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I thank every one of you. It's 7 straight months now. Record page views at deepfrieddraft.com. Can't thank you guys enough. Seattle fans, don't hate me. Sorry, didn't like the draft. But that's going to do it. I'll have a wrap-up video at some point in the next week or so to kind of set the stage for where we're going in 2018. But thanks for watching. Later.